Welcome back, everyone. This is the themed environment session, and this is sponsored by our friends at Lumsden Design. Thanks very much. And I'm here today with James Dwyer, who is the design director at Lumsden Design. Hi, James.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for inviting me to join the session today.
No problem. So, James, maybe we can kick off with just talking about Lumsden and the work that you do.
Yes, of course. So Lumsden, we're a small team based in Farringdon in London, and we create iconic spaces for international brands, museums and visitor attractions around the world. We partner with amazing clients internationally across a really broad spectrum, from the cultural sector, the heritage sector, but also for entertainment attractions. So our projects include everything from Harry Potter to MoMA in New York, Abbey Road in London, and the National Gallery as well.
Fantastic. And something that we're focusing on this session is cultural commerce. So maybe you could chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about cultural commerce here at Lumsden because it is what we do. And we love it because it's an opportunity to engage and inspire visitors in new and exciting ways with our clients' collections or experiences. And everything that we try to do in our designs for retail and hospitality spaces is about trying to find new ways to tell stories from different points of view and reinterpret those stories and meanings expressed within the main experience, but creating a seamless experience that runs through into these commercial spaces that also reflects what's happening in the mainstream consumer landscape. I think the common thread that unites everything that we do, whether it's for a client like Warner Brothers through to a client like the National Gallery, is it's about creating spaces that connect people with their passions and give fans more of what they love. And, we're always trying to create amazing retail and hospitality spaces that are an extension of the experiential brand and essentially create places that become almost like spiritual homes for fandoms.
Lovely. And that, of course, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about the value that creates as well for the attractions.
Yes, of course. Well, as I've talked a little bit about seamless experiences, but for fans, what we're trying to do is stimulate the senses and create experiences that inspire strong, positive and distinctive impressions and create moments of wonder that spark joy through playful retail and food theatre. And I think what this is all about is we're creating spaces that people love to be in and love to dwell in. And ultimately, that will release value for our clients, whether it's financial. And in the case of National Gallery, that's incredibly important because every purchase that's made in the commercial spaces at the gallery goes towards preserving the nation's collection. But it's also about releasing emotional value for our visitors, but also cultural and reputational value for our clients and creating world-class experiences that are recognised internationally. And I've touched on it already, but helping visitors understand how important their purchase is when it comes to a cultural destination is really important. But also the value of building audience relationships, deepening engagement and understanding and appreciation for the attractions that they've come to visit.
Thanks very much. That's really interesting, James. And now we're going to have Sarah Roots speaking after this, and also Julie Molloy from the National Gallery. So maybe you could just touch on, first of all, this is the Festival of Innovation. So can you touch on maybe innovation with Warner Brothers Studio Tour? I know that the store there is really groundbreaking and really sort of set new standards.
Yes, well, we've been working with Warner Brothers, Studio Tours and Retail and Sarah for 11 years now. The first project we worked on was the Warner Brothers Studio Tour here in London, but we also worked with them on projects in Hollywood and also on the new studio tour that's now coming to Tokyo next year. So for here in Lumsden, we've created 3 shops, including the 9,000 square foot store here in the UK, and also 3 cafes which opened in 2019 and were the first time that we introduced themed cafes to the tour, which is really exciting. And that almost laid the groundwork for what we're now doing with the project in Tokyo, which I can't tell you very much about because a lot of the stuff that's happening there is top secret. But what is exciting about it is we've been working with Warner Brothers on it since February 2020. and we're able to keep working on it throughout the pandemic. And I think what happened out of that weird time was this amazing amount of creativity and new ideas and innovation that are now going to be launching in Tokyo that will be really groundbreaking and really give fans something new and exciting to go and see. It will be the largest Harry Potter store in the world, and it will be raising the bar again for experiential retail. We're using groundbreaking technology, but we're also combining that with incredible food and beverage experiences, immersive theming, and of course, butterbeer.
Wow, fantastic! I can't wait to see what that is. That's really interesting. You sure you can't tell us any more about it?
I can probably tell you that we are using technology in amazing ways. I think at Lumsden, we always say we don't want to use technology for technology's sake, but at Warner Brothers, we're now using it to create truly magical experiences, spaces that will transform and will delight visitors with lots of Easter eggs for the fans.
Okay, right, I'll leave it at that and not press you anymore on that then. So maybe next you could tell us what you do in the National Gallery and any particularly innovative elements of that.
Yes, so we've been working with Julie and the team at the National Gallery since May 2022 this year, and we've embarked on the creation of the first of 4 new shops, and all of these will be refitted over the next 3 years or so, in parallel to the celebration of the National Gallery's 200th anniversary. And the first store is the Portico store, which will open in spring 2023 next year. And it's located at the heart of the collection in the Wilkins building, so that main central building just off Trafalgar Square. It's a fantastic space. It used to be a gallery space, and it's neighboured by gallery spaces in the main hall at the centre of the collection. And what this store is all about is about celebrating that collection and connecting people with great art. So we want people to, when they enter the shop, feel like that the experience of the gallery and all this great art has continued with them, and that's reflected in the store design, but also fantastic product. So creating again a seamless extension of the gallery experience, and we no longer want this feeling of a tagged on gift shop. That none of our projects are about that. We never like this idea of exit through the gift shop. It's always got to be integral to the main experience. And a big part of what we're doing for the National Gallery is looking at product innovation and product development. Everything needs to be curated as an extension of the gallery experience. It needs to be connected and linked with the art, the artists and the galleries. But it also needs to be considered. So it needs to be developed in new innovative ways. And we need to find ways of giving customers things that they can't find anywhere else. And to do that, we're partnering with friends in the film industry and using their expertise and knowledge of craft and technology to create new things in new exciting ways, and look into the paintings themselves to find new and exciting products and stories that we can showcase in store.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to see that. That's yeah, and on the face of it, the two organisations are quite different, aren't they? So it's really interesting that you're expanding the experience in both in kind of similar ways, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of parallels, and I think it comes down to storytelling, and it's really is finding those special stories that are unique to those institutions or those destinations, and exploring those in ways that haven't been done before. We talk a lot about image slapping, which is where literally images are plastered on products, and it's you find it in many galleries, and I think that's what we've got to move away from, and it's something that we're working hard on with the team at the gallery, is to find new ways of celebrating those wonderful images.
Great. So James, can you tell us a little bit maybe about innovation in the store design at the National Gallery?
Yes, so we're creating a space that will shapeshift over time and throughout the year, so that it's always fresh and there's always something new and exciting to see, particularly for members who are a really important part of the National Gallery demographic. And I think one of the ways we're trying to do this is through use of digital. But again, we're not using digital just for the sake of having screens in store. What we're creating is almost like a digital canvas that can transform and reflect events that are happening in the gallery, from temporary exhibitions through to Christmas, but also at other times of year, really celebrate some of the really amazing work that happens at the National Gallery behind the scenes that most visitors don't normally get to see. And the big story that we're looking to showcase here is all about the conservation and talent that is actually in-house at the National Gallery that preserves our nation's collection for future generations. So from everything from the team up in the attic at the gallery that preserve all the paintings, they restore all of these magnificent artworks, down to the frame store that's down in the basement that looks at restoring all the antique frames and putting things back to how they should have been all along. And it's a wonderful story that most people don't even know happens around them. And I'm very excited to see how that's going to develop and how that will be seen in store next year.
So, James, it's nearly Christmas and I'm giving everyone a magic wand, and they can wish for any innovation they'd like, or no matter what it is, to help them take the guest experience forward. So what would you like?
So, I come from a creative team. We're always looking to innovate. We're always looking for push ourselves to find the next thing, to look around corners and see what we can do that is totally new and totally different for all of our clients. And I think if I was going to have a magic wand, I would say it would be great for clients to come to us with more open-minded briefs. I think one of the great things about Warner Brothers is they always come to us with a pretty much blank sheet of paper and allow us to run with it and really take these projects to the next level. And I think sometimes clients come with quite predefined ideas of what they'd like to create. But when the magic really happens is when we do that together and we write the brief together and develop that brief as a partnership. And I think all of our best work has come out of that sort of relationship with clients.
Fantastic. That's really interesting. So that's it for this session. We're going to hear from Sarah Roots next, and then we're going to hear from Julie, and then we're going to have the winners of the themed environment category. So just thanks again, James, and thanks to Lumsden for sponsoring, and we get on to the next session. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, welcome to this session about themed environments. I'm here today with Sarah Roots, who is, in case anybody doesn't know, is Executive Vice President of Warner Brothers Studio Tours and Retail Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery. Hi Sarah, how are you?
Hi Rachel, thanks for having me.
No problem. I know you're really, really busy. So I just thought we'd kick off because you're doing so much, Sarah. I just thought we'd kick off, and if you could tell us, so what's happening with you? What's the latest new thing that you're doing?
Well, we've, as you say, always got a lot on, and in the UK we had a great new opening this summer of the greenhouse, Professor Sprout's greenhouse at Warner Brothers Studio Tour London, The Making of Harry Potter, which is our flagship tour, and it's been really lovely. We've done some other updates to the backlot as well, but everybody's sort of core focus is very much on our new studio tour project in Japan, Warner Brothers Studio Tour Tokyo, The Making of Harry Potter. And so this tour is in central Tokyo, opening next summer. So we're really kind of feeling now the heat of the build-up of that tour, getting ready to open. Very exciting. It's a wonderful building in a great location, just by a train station. So it's got amazing access, very high use of trains, of course, in Tokyo anyway. And we're very, very excited about what we're going to offer, which I'm going to talk hopefully a little bit about as part of this interview today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, the conference that we're doing is all about innovation. So I feel it's really good to have you on because you are such an innovative organisation. You're doing amazing things. So our first question I was going to ask was, can you tell us a bit about the most innovative project you've been involved in so far in your career?
Well, one of the things that I've been thinking about this morning actually is everything that you do when you do it feels very innovative, doesn't it? You know, so when you think about what are you most proud of in terms of innovation, everything has been so innovative when we first did it. The opening of the studio tour in London, you know, was a brand new innovation at the time. It's a behind the scenes angle on filmmaking, which was new, certainly in a permanent you know, sort of visitor attraction. I think that's the first time that had ever really been done on that angle. You know, we work with Thinkwell very much on this project, and it's been so successful. So everything that you do is innovative at the time, but then you've got to make sure that your offer is new and feels new and it's memorable and it's engaging and it's interactive. And that's the challenge, I think, is how you can keep your visitors and your audiences on side and with you and returning on repeat visits time and time again with refreshment and new development all the time. You know, and effectively, innovation is new things, and, you know, coming up with those things is really important. So what am I most proud of? Well, I think, you know, I've been involved in lots of different projects over my career, but the Warner Brothers Studio Tour London absolutely has to be the standout. Of course it does. And the great thing about it is how we have been able to continue to innovate and bring something new and different to the tour. And I mentioned already that we have Professor Sprout's greenhouse this year and some other additions to the back lot. We also in 2019 had a huge expansion to the tour and the introduction of Gringotts. And we did something very special there where we, you know, visitors want to be part of the experience. Visitors want to be in the middle of it. They want to take it home with them. They want to experience things with their families and friends. And we actually added an experience in that Gringotts expansion, which was the destroyed Gringotts with a projected dragon, you know, very visual, exciting, quite actually immersive experience. So that was something brand new for us, where, you know, we're always on that line behind the scenes. That's our angle always. But the visitors want more interactive and more immersive. So we've got to make sure that we're, you know, fulfilling our visitors' needs at the same time. So this has been a great experience at the studio tour. We also started a really interesting, innovative project in New York just before COVID. And this was a project with Household, actually, as a design agency. And, you know, we were supposed to open in 2020. And of course that didn't happen, but we managed this project remotely. That was pretty innovative too in itself, actually. And we opened in June 2021 with this amazing retail experience in central New York, just behind the Flatiron building. And the experience is basically taking everything that we learnt from running studio tours and attractions and taking it into retail and really enhancing the retail experience. So that store in New York is really like a free entry attraction. It's been really successful, and we've got some great photo opportunities, interactives. We have Amina Lima, who were the designers from Harry Potter. They've got a shop-in-shop in New York. We've got this fantastic interactive wand dueling table where you can actually sort of act out the last scene of the last Harry Potter film with the big fight. So that's really impressive. But then other things that are much more simple, a Nagini that's embedded in the ceiling and that you can hear the parcel tongue, and also Hagrid's boots with a Hagrid behind that you can stand in his boots. It's just a really basic photo op, and it's just as popular. So, you know, I think key innovation is about what visitors want, how they can be part of an experience, how they can share the experience on. And so, you know, there's lots of opportunity. It doesn't all have to be expensive high tech. And then I was just going to mention about Studio Tour Tokyo as well. You know, but a lot of it is top secret, opening next year, but it is still made by the filmmakers. So we have all the unique differentiation of the London tour, but plus more flexibility to be able to add more engagement for our visitors, more photo ops. Thinkwell have been working really closely again with us on the development of all of these brilliant experiences that we've got through the interactive. So we've got brand new sets, we've got moving portraits where you can take your photo and it will go into a moving portrait. We've got the moving staircase. We've got new photo opportunities all around, which I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be really, really exciting. And it's flowing right through into F&B, which is a great Lumsden project, with great theming through F&B and retail. And again, you know, that's where the visitors want to be more interactive and more immersed in the whole Harry Potter experience. So we are definitely taking up that challenge in Tokyo, and I think what we're going to deliver is going to be, with Lumsden, is going to be really, really special.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, isn't it? I think having seen the sort of studio tour in London right from the start, it does feel like you've gone from almost being like a kind of almost like a museum where you're kind of creating these beautiful objects and showing them. You're going so much more interactive now with the kind of whole experiences you're putting on, and then extending it, like you say, into F&B and shops and everything. It's really, really impressive, I think. So we look forward to seeing what's happening more with you. I think.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. You know, I was actually working in a museum before I came to Warner Brothers Discovery, and you know, one of the things that really struck me was how progressive the museum sector was being. And how, you know, we had to, as a non-museum environment, you know, we never put ourselves into that museum category. We always say we're a studio tour attraction, and that's because we want everybody to think of us as being very engaging and hands-on, and bringing the films closer, explaining the filmmaking process from that behind-the-scenes angle. And we've really, really focused on doing that, and doing it, you know, through the whole journey. From our digital, you know, our use of web, we're now on TikTok, you know, coming into the tour, having a very, very personal experience while you're here, with great engaged staff, you know, taking something away from you, and right through to the product that we've got in retail, which should be unique, it should be differentiated. You know, we've got a differentiated range in New York, we've got one here, and we'll have one in Tokyo as well.
Lovely. So that's super. So we're on to our next question now. So what current innovations are around that really excite you across the board in any area of your attraction? What's kind of new and interesting for you?
Well, I think, you know, as I said, a lot of innovation, of course, is growth, isn't it, on ideas and things that you've done. But some of the really brand new thinking things, I think probably the most interesting is the VR experience that we have in New York. We've got two, actually. One is a sort of team experience where you take a challenge and you're gaming through the Hogwarts, and the other is where you actually go into an environment and you're flying on your own broomstick, and you can fly separately or with your friends and family. Both of them are absolutely amazing, and they have driven, you know, interest into the store. So it's an interesting kind of mix between VR and retail. So I think they've added a lot of value in many ways, and the experience is amazing. But again, you know, it's interesting. The development was extremely expensive, a lot of investment from the company, and the throughput is relatively small. And, you know, there's a lot of benefit to it, and it's great to see that. But there are also so many things that you can do that aren't so high tech. And we've got also a new shop experience on our e-commerce, which is really interesting. So this is a digital 360-degree immersive shopping experience. And I guess it's like you are going into the shop on e-commerce and you're shopping just like you would do physically in the store. Very exciting. You know, I think we'll see a lot of change in that area in the future, and more of real virtual experiences for sure. AR, really interesting as well. We have looked at using AR. We haven't actually progressed it yet, but I think anything that you can do on your phone that doesn't require, you know, such infrastructure investment, that can be quick, can be flexible, can be updated and changed, there's going to be, you know, a great future for that. So, you know, I think there's a lot going on. A lot going on in retail as well as the visitor attraction side. We've done a lot for personalization. You know, you can now I can have a jumper, you know, like the jumpers that Harry and Ron were knitted by Mrs. Weasley. You know, we have those in every letter now. You can have your robe embroidered. You can have, you know, notebooks and journals and all kinds of things in personalized through the store. So I think you're seeing this kind of more personal journey developing where people can mold their own experiences and have their own outcomes. And in fact, the VR in New York, there are different outcomes from the group experience. So everything is becoming more tailored to that group or individual. You're being able to sort of set the expectations yourself, have more input into what you're doing. And, you know, everything is so important about that actual sort of delivery of the moment to make that experience really special.
I particularly like the personalised trunks, actually. That's what I'm...
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing a drive from consumers for that kind of thing, as well as kind of on the technology?
Definitely, yes. I think people want something that's different. You know, innovation is by definition something that's new, something that's different. And I think people are looking for things that are different. They're looking for things that are more personal, so they're very, you know, close to them. So you can design something for your friend or for yourself that you know that they'll like. And, you know, I think it's important at the point of delivery as well that we remember that innovation is about process. You know, you have to have a process in place to be able to develop innovation, and you have to commit time and resource to make sure that innovation is allowed to flourish in the organization. And a lot of the ideas and things that we do, you know, there are some big company-wide tech investments like VR, but there are also a lot of small things like some of the personalization opportunities that have been the idea of an individual within the team. And, you know, often they are hearing what the visitors are asking for, what the needs are of the visitors at the point of contact. And what a great opportunity there to, you know, be able to deliver back to the visitor exactly what they want.
That's wonderful. And your visitors are particularly engaged, I guess, with your brand.
Yes, yeah, well, they are, aren't they? Because they're fans. They're fans of Harry Potter. All of our, you know, experiences, they're all fans of Harry Potter, and or Warner Brothers IP fans in Hollywood at the tour there. And so they are very engaged. And I think, you know, they tend to be quite digital focused as well. So that's a media that works really well for us.
And the final question. So I think I've been asking everyone this, but it's particularly relevant for you. So if I gave you a magic wand, another magic wand, what are you looking for in the future regarding innovation? If you could have something now that would enable you to do something that you want to do, what is there anything you'd wish for?
Well, first of all, as I said, I don't think that innovation is magic. I think you have to work really hard at innovation, and you need process, and you need commitment, time, and resource, you know, to facilitate your business to be able to innovate. And then, you know, it's funny that you should mention the wand, Rachel, because actually we are in the process of launching a caster wand, which is literally is a magic wand. And that has been a huge new tech development for the company. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how that rolls out and, you know, allows people to take the magic into their own home for the first time. So that's pretty exciting. But, you know, what else? What would I do if I had a magic wand for innovation? Well, I think, you know, again, it is about the engagement of the visitors. It's about the visitors being, you know, motivated and offering something that's authentic but differentiated. You know, I think our market is very intelligent, and they really want to see, our customers want to see something that is really authentic to whatever your product is. And so if you can root everything in authenticity, then innovation becomes, or the right decisions about what innovation to use becomes much simpler. And, you know, and then you're looking for things that visitors want that make them feel like they're part of it, part of whatever experience you're offering. In our case, part of making movies, or being part of movie magic, or part of the behind the scenes crew in making movies. And so, you know, that's all the things that we're looking at about how we're developing in the future. And in fact, you know, we do have an opportunity at the studio tour in London for a significant development coming in the next few years. And, you know, we're thinking very carefully about what that might be. And our visitors love a takeaway, you know, so we'll probably use our phones a lot more in the future, which is great because it's quicker, it's more nimble, it's cheaper, you know, and it allows people perhaps to take some more away with them when they go, not just their photographs and their videos, but, you know, more content on their phone. Everyone wants content. Yeah. And I think, you know, I would also remind everyone that sometimes the simple things are the best. And, you know, everybody here will talk about when we just had a little sort of temporary fix and we put up this height chart, you know, and it had Hagrid and it had Dobby and, you know, and all the cast, it had Harry Potter, and, you know, and that was probably the most photographed thing that we've ever had anywhere in the whole business, you know. So sometimes the simple things are as good. It's getting right what the visitor wants, and if you can do that, then innovation is a simple decision to make for an investment point of view.
Lovely, that's lovely. Thank you, Sarah. That's really enlightening. It's a really interesting interview. So thanks very much.
It's been great talking to you, Rachel. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm here today with Julie Molloy, who is MD of the National Gallery Global. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Hi. So, Julie, we're going to kick off. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the National Gallery, please?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, my name is Julie Molloy. I have been for some time the Managing Director at National Gallery Global, often favourably called NGG. NGG is the commercial trading entity for the National Gallery. It's owned by the National Gallery and effectively picks up all the commercial trading business streams that we have at present. I also want to talk a little bit about the National Gallery. So if that slide can come up, please. Thank you. This is the National Gallery. I'm sure that many of you have visited, and if not, why not? It's one of the greatest art galleries across the world and houses the nation's collection of paintings in the Western European tradition from around the 13th century to the early 20th century. We have great artists and exhibitions such as Raphael, Leonardo, Turner, Monet and Van Gogh, and we currently have an international exhibition displaying the work of Lucian Freud. The collection is free to the public. We do charge for some of our exhibitions, such as Freud, which is currently on in the gallery. So, yeah.
Okay, so I know you were going to talk a little bit about your plans around innovating the hosted guest experience, but before you do, can you give us a little bit about the context and why you're making that change?
Yes, of course. So prior to COVID, the gallery was visited by about 6 million physical visits per year. I think it's fair to say that the building and the collection are world class, but it is fair to say that even before COVID, we felt that the on-site guest experience and the experience of both visiting the collection, but also perhaps our public amenities and our trading activities were at best quite patchy. So if you take me to the next slide, which is our floor plan, you can see it's a massive, massive estate. We, prior to COVID, before the lockdown, although we have sort of one significant entity running the trading organisation, it's fair to say that quite a lot of money-making activities were carried out by different operators, including the company that I work for. All of them were competing for guest attention and actually from a public perception making very little sense across the whole of the visit for the visitor. And our feeling was that something had to be done about moving that into a one-team approach and thinking much more about a longer-term guest experience. And it's fair to say that whilst we know that COVID has had enormous impact on a lot of income generation, not just in the gallery, but in other areas of the sector, we felt that this was an opportunity to start to think about how we might rebuild. As a result of COVID, we lost two stores. we lost 2 of our third-party commercial partners in our audio guide partners and also our catering partners. And we ended up having to focus, as all businesses did, our efforts online and internationally. And so as we came out of COVID, particularly towards the end, I think that this gave us a real opportunity to clear our heads a bit and think about how we actually had a real opportunity to dispense with the way we used to run the business and pretty much start from scratch. Because we knew that what we were delivering to our public in the past wasn't great, what we've been talking about is that real opportunity now across the estate to deliver what we call a seamless guest experience that can help increase both the value, engagement time, satisfaction, but also increase income as well. And more importantly, I think really tied into our purpose. It's quite easy as organisations to lose sense of your purpose and for commerce to overtake. And in truth, our purpose is a really simple one, and it's to engage our guests with great art. So what we felt is that everything that we do from now on needs to be rooted in that purpose, whether it's actually, buying a book or, buying something in the shop or buying an exhibition ticket or being a member. It is all around connecting people with great pictures. We also want that to be delivered in a way that felt as though it was seamless between the gallery experience and that sort of commercial interface, however our audiences might come into contact with us. And just to support that whole purpose piece, it was important that in terms of brand equity, guests would see the same thing. There would be very much a sort of tone and purpose and structure to the way they interact, both in our collections, both in our exhibitions, and also in those more public front of house activities. And actually, I think it's really important, as one of my real challenges in delivering this project is, if you're going to have that seamless guest experience, you also really need your technology to be up to scratch. You need to be able to have seamless technology. Those touch points need to feel as though they are considered and equal across the journey. And things like our products needed to be more innovative, and the services needed to be delivered in a slightly different way to achieve the goal. And actually, as we build back our income has really built back quite successfully in the last 12 months. But we do have an ambition to grow our online, our self-generated income by a further 10 million in terms of contribution. As budgets are tightening up, it is fair to say that the importance of trading companies is even more critical than it was before COVID.
Sure. And can you talk us through some of the work that's being done so far in the gallery and the trading company?
Yes, of course. I can certainly do that. I'm really keen to show you the steps, but it is fair to say, Rachel, that all of this is a sort of long-term 3 or 4 year plan. We're not there yet, but I can absolutely give you a sense of the steps we have taken and are taking in order to achieve these ambitions. So this slide means a lot to me, but not necessarily going to mean everything to everybody else. But here we'll have a go. So if you think about this is a piece of work, actually, to be fair, that we've done with an organisation called Household, who are a strategic design agency. So working with our team, we were starting to plot from scratch what we thought was the what we were aiming for in terms of the guest journey. Now, it is fair to say we have had a lot of research around this. It has been, we were researching both online and also as soon as we opened up with our visitors and our guests, and also with non-visitors well. So this isn't just something that the National Gallery team have come up with. It's actually fully researched. So if you think about this as a walk through the gallery, we've got that section on the left which talks about being beyond the gallery. So that's the sort of pre-planned journey, if you like, where you can get lots of connections and weigh in before people have actually physically stepped on site. You'll remember from the previous plan is that this area in the center circle, which we're calling the hosting hub, really represents to us the main visitor welcome, which will be the Sainsbury Wing entrance of the National Gallery. And then the far right circle is our historic Wilkins building. So essentially this is trying to graphically plot where and when visitors might encounter us. So I'll just talk quickly about the circle which is described beyond the gallery. And I think everyone will be doing this, but for us, that sort of connection between the pre-planned experience and the on-site experience, I suppose encouraging guests to pre-plan things like the purchase of audio guides, the opportunity to pre-click and collect a guidebook, to book bespoke tours, to book a high tea or an afternoon meal or an evening meal, was really what we want to do in terms of people coming to the gallery. They have to book an online ticket with us, or they might want to book an exhibition ticket, or they might be wanting to be a member. This is an opportunity to upsell to them even before they set foot at the doors. And we've started to do this in a small way, and it's already beginning, certainly around exhibitions and membership, being able to bring good things. It also builds your database. The data is very valuable. It helps us to better understand our guests' needs and also their behaviours, so we can think about future products and services for them. I think for us also, the centre circle, which we've called the hosting hub, really for us reinforces the need for a hosted welcome rather than what I think currently pervades, which is a very secure welcome. Now, of course, security is important, but if you think about the move to hospitality and guest experiences in other sectors, then actually the welcome needs to be the thing that encourages people in and makes them feel very settled when they embark on their journey with us. One of the other things that this is doing is trying to just plot out sensibly delightful and surprising commercial experiences. So those that are in the right places across the building, not as they previously were before COVID, all sort of huddled in one place. So it felt as though it was a bit of a bazaar prior to that. There's a very big green circle, bottom right, which you can see called the Members House. That's not a new thing. But for the National Gallery, that's a really important new innovation because we have a members scheme, which we launched some 7 or 8 years ago. And we launched without a members house because we hadn't been able to identify the space. This is going to be the best members house there is in the UK, I believe. And it's not least because we're going to, really give it the design direction it deserves, but actually because it's nestled in some of the original parts of the Wilkins building, which is where the gallery first moved to in 1856.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really interesting. Actually, I'm interested in the hosting, the importance of the hosting, because when you go to the National Gallery, sometimes it does feel like it's a sort of security welcome, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a hugely difficult balance, and it'd be interesting to understand how some of your other colleagues deal with this, particularly in this sector. Is you'll all know the context is that security threats have been high for many a year now, and how do you balance that real willingness to get people to engage with your organisation when the first thing they encounter is what appears to be something quite police-like? Because of the bag searches, the way we uniform our guards, etc. So that's really something that we're thinking about, whether we need to do more outside the gallery. If you remember the London ambassadors, how fantastic they were during the Olympics.
Yeah.
Whether we could be doing more of that as a placemaker, so that actually the going through the security feels like a less obtrusive or intrusive experience.
Yeah.
I just wanted also to mention, Rachel, is that one of the things that's really important to me, and so many of our colleagues forget it, is that on the right-hand side, I put the hosting hub. And that's because we expect people to enter through one part of the building and exit on that southeast corner. And at the moment, one of the things we don't really do, really simple thing, which is to thank them, to encourage them to come back, to think about ways you can encourage a second visit. And how you might make how you might encourage them to make a meaningful donation, or also even just have things where they can actually share their moment on social. and we just let people go. And so actually, if one of the challenges I think a lot of organisations are dealing with now, as we build back international tourism, is you're very much dealing with your domestic audience, and those are the people you want them to come back and be loyal visitors. Then we've really got to get that welcome at the end of their experience right in order to encourage them to come back.
Very interesting. Do you want the next slide then?
Yes, please. Yes. So then I'll talk you through the next slides, because although they're not necessary, this is just something that happens to be happening, which you may have heard of, is we have a real opportunity through a building intervention to be able to do something better at our own physical welcome. Some of you may be familiar with the National Gallery's Sainsbury wing, but in truth, it's always felt like the response has been that it was brilliant for the collection in terms of its chronological start, but not necessarily really clear when you got in there was what was open for you to do, and the connection with the art was probably quite limited. So one of the things we're doing is we're working with Seldorf and Partners in New York, and with her UK partner, Purcell Architects, to effectively reimagine the public parts of the National Gallery Sainsbury wing. One of the things that Annabelle has tried to do through her design intent has to be try to make the outside of the building less austere, to firstly tell visitors where they're going. So the National Gallery clearly emblazoned across the top of the building, and effectively just create more light and warmth. One of the other things that we'll be doing is to placemate. I've used the term before, but there's an opportunity for us to create a sort of small square off the square, so that there actually feels as though there is a public space. So if we were to think about the way we advocate for the visitor, we would be doing that in that place, rather than letting them fold through security and then have the welcome on the other side. So we are thinking about how we greet people on the perimeter of the building, as opposed to waiting for them to have gone through that security journey. We will be opening up, I think it's actually on the next slide. I mean, I know the building really well, but let's hope we can show this, is that one of the things that we wanted to do on the ground floor, which is the section on the left, is basically beat it out at the edges, so that we are able to make great use of the physical space that exists on the ground floor in a way that it wasn't obvious hitherto. So we've removed quite a lot of existing amenities in order to be able to create a big space on that ground floor, and I suppose clear it of clutter, whilst making it really clear to guests what's on offer and how they can make their own choices about their guest experience. Part of that we'll be doing with the creation of a sort of digital interface that will allow people to really quite quickly understand what's available, whether that's events or exhibitions or pick special collections on the day, so that they can start to properly plan their visit really clearly. The second section shows what we're doing to create a sort of mezzanine space on the mezzanine floor, in fact, which is currently occupied by a rather large restaurant. And we've crafted much more of an opportunity to cut through the floor space between ground and first, so that actually visitors really get a sense of what's going on that mezzanine level. So like a lot of restaurants where you can actually look up and you can see activity going on above you, that's what we're trying to do here. And we're going to be putting something quite new in there, which we're calling for the time being a book bar. Doesn't sound very innovative, but actually the idea that, there is a real opportunity to get really high quality dining and food experiences or beverage experiences, and be able to sell, really great, when we're a publisher, and sell really great books about the artists and the artists in our collection. And there are some examples of this sort of thing. I don't know, some of you might know the Maison Asseline brand in Piccadilly. They are doing that already. They are publishers that sell great quality food, and they combine the experience in a really integrated way. That's one of the things we want to do, to make our visitors feel as though, this is a really great opportunity to come and do something different in the gallery. And then, as I said before, the opportunity for also is for us to build a must-visit members' house. This will help us take our membership up, but also give the members what they need, which is a real opportunity to, create that sort of club space in an environment which is, solidly rooted in the gallery's history. So, just actually quickly coming to the other things that we've put in place, which sort of give you a flavour of what we want to do, particularly around bringing some of our activity outside. So Rachel, if you go on to the next slide, please. Oh, that's the members' house. I've just talked about that. We'll go on to the next one after that, if you don't mind. These are some, this is again where we worked with a company called Household, who, they've been really great about helping tease out this whole thing about experiences rather than just pure trading or commercial. And this is a festival which we launched with them in August of this year. And this is something we want to do every year. And a real opportunity from the galleries to sort of engage visitors in the square. Anyone who's been to Trafalgar Square, particularly in the height of summer, will know it is a throng with very little for people actually to do. I mean, there's a decent cafe. There are what look to be public buildings all around the square. But actually, there's nothing going on very much apart from what's put on by the council or perhaps the mayor to engage them with the buildings that they're surrounded by. So this summer on the square really is a festival designed to engage particularly with families with a programme of special events, learning and making, and food and beverage. You can see they're illustrated as a sort of a food cart there also. We do intend to do many more of these events, and we hope for longer during the summer holidays if we get that permission from Westminster Council. And I think one of the reasons that we want to continue to do this, because this is a way of getting to people who may not actually know the building on the north side of the square is National Gallery, and also start to encourage family audiences or audiences perhaps with a different mindset to come in and also, come into the collection and experience what the physical building can do for them. In a 3-week period, I think this was on, we had over 10,000 guests. So it's a programming piece. People have to book their slot. So it's very organised and they have tremendous help from our learning teams. But we managed in this shorter period just to work with 10,000 guests, which we thought was a good achievement, but we'd like to do more. And then on a slightly different tangent, if you go to the next slide, please. We've been working with the Lumsden Design Group for, I think I'm allowed to mention them, aren't I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, critical. We have been working with Callum and his team now since the early part of this year, specifically around thinking about, we have an opportunity both in terms of the main Wilkins building, which is the historic building, and through the Seldorf plan to reinvent our stores for our public. And I think we're certainly in touch about thinking about retail, not just as a necessary visitor attraction experience, but as something that can help support your purpose, but also really excite and engage that your visitors when they're in. Retail is something we're all really keen to do, and it feels very natural to us as well as going to restaurants. So let's make it a really powerful, bespoke experience when we're here. So we started on a retail strategy with the Lumsden team. The first step into this journey is the redevelopment of our main store in the historic building. So, like I said, we talked about purpose. So effectively, connecting our guests with the art in the building, whether it's, collection pieces or actually product just based around one artist, but also actually importantly recognizing the quality of the historic building itself and picking up references from the building. So something is, I think, unlike what we do currently, something that is completely unique to the National Gallery. So we'll give you a real motivating reason to want to purchase with us. And the other thing that we're doing with Lumsden, and I think this is also largely out as a result of post-COVID, is we felt we did really need to think about innovation in terms of our product range. I think we were starting to look a bit like everybody else, and I hope that in 6 months' time we look very different to anyone else and very different to our National Gallery sort of regular visitors, because that's important. And so we've also embarked with them and some of their team on a complete refresh of our product range to make it much more relevant and much more critical to that on-site visitor. And then finally, just round this off, I suppose for me, this was, we took a real risk in 2021 in appointing our new catering partner, Muriel's Kitchen. A risk because it was really hard to make a decision to let our previous catering partner go. But in fairness, the hospitality trade, as you all know, was sort of on its knees come autumn 2020. So we took that decision to let our partner go and embarked on a really rough time to start looking for a partner. Sort of this was when COVID was, in its height. We started to look for a new catering partner. And I think one of the real benefits of doing this at the time, we found we were being introduced to potential partners who had been very resilient during COVID, but it also gave us an opportunity to reach out to a very different type of restaurateur. And so we embarked on working with Muriel's in October 2021. They had no experience of working in the sector, and it's been just as much an adjustment for them as it has been for us. But actually, the pervading thing is they really understood our desire as a client to provide great dining experiences, not just benign museum experiences, but great dining experiences for our guests. And I'm really happy with the way this has now paid off. We rebranded and relaunched in April of this year. The restaurant is, well, everything is full at the moment, particularly in the daytime, and we're really beginning to build a busy nighttime economy too. So I suppose, Rachel, as much as I can say, that's as far as we are in our journey, but lots more to come. And I really am confident that it will evolve over the next 2 to 3 years to what our guest experience should desire to be.
That's fantastic. That's really interesting. Thank you, Julie. You can tell you've been extremely busy, I think. Lots going on.
Thank you.
So this is our kind of Festival of Innovation. So I'm asking all our speakers now a couple of questions just about innovation. So can you tell us something about a recent innovation that you think has been a game changer for guests?
Well, I don't know if it's a game changer, but it's one I'm really interested in. So I had an opportunity to talk to our colleagues at Dapper Labs recently, and I think they're pulling together, which we're going to try and find out. We're going to explore it further. Something together that really might help us with our guests to augment that great guest experience, not just on site, but also really to make connections with the online experience too. So I say, will it transform? I'm pretty sure I'd like it to, but let's watch this space.
Oh, that's lovely. And anybody watching, that's Chaperone, and you can see that in the innovation section in this event. And finally, a bit of a sort of cheesy question, but if you had a magic wand for future innovation, what would you like to wish for to be able to realise some kind of strategic goal, guest experience?
Well, I think I talked about it in terms of our ambitions. I think one of it could be a constraint to our progress. So if I had that magic wand, I'd wave it, and I'd want all our tech to be immediately streamlined with guest at the core, rather than functionality. So I think there isn't a tension, but I think there can often be tensions on these on-site experiences between, IS coming up with a tech solution and, they're thinking about the functionality and how things talk to each other, but they're not actually thinking about what ease that provides or how sensible that is for your, start with the guest and then work back. We're really trying to encourage colleagues to work together to move this forward as part of this plan. But I do sometimes see it could be a constraint to progress. And I suppose actually the other thing is, if I could wave that wand again, it would need to build me a money pot in order to make it affordable, because that's often a constraint as well, is that, unlike a lot of big retailers or, big hospitality hotel sectors, we have to be really, our job is to give money to the organisation I create contributions for the museum, and so we can't be spending huge amounts of money on systems. So affordability is often a constraint too.
Yeah. That's lovely. Thank you very much, Julie. I love the National Gallery, so yeah, I wish you every success in this, and we'll keep coming and visiting and finding out what's happening.
All right, and I hope you all enjoy the day.
Lovely. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Rachel. Bye-bye.
And now, the winners of the Themed Environment Innovation Awards 2022. Third place to Zip World, the world's first adventure golf in a cave from Greenspan Projects Limited. Second place to Mandrakes and Magical Creatures feature at Warner Brothers Studio Tour London. And first place to Quake Lisbon Earthquake Experience from Eurovision Europe BV. Congratulations to everyone who won and to everyone who entered the Themed Environment category.